Couch to 5k week 2 run 2. So this will be the 5th run in total, I believe. I think I'm about 5 runs in because each week has 3 runs. So week 1 I'll have 3, week 2 I'll have 3, and I've done the second. Yeah, it will be 5 runs in total when this goes out, essentially. So in terms of how this run went, I went on it a few days ago, and I've had a bit of time to gather my thoughts, and this is what I just wanted to tell you how it felt like on this particular run. I will throw a little picture of what the run looked like in terms of like the running structure and the mixture between running and walking, and it will show you all the little details there. You can have a quick look at that. But in terms of how the run went, I believe I went on this on Monday, and it was a bit of a chilly morning. I didn't really feel a sense of motivation, but more a sense of I've got something I wanted to do today, i.e. being running, and I wanted to set out and achieve that in the morning, and I did exactly that. I didn't wake up feeling hugely motivated, and that's perfectly normal. There's going to be days where you're not feeling completely up to it, but as soon as you put your running shoes on, you put your gear on, and you get out there, all of a sudden you sort of get into that state. And I feel like now I'm starting to build a bit of a habit when it comes to running. As I'm 5 runs into the program, I'm really starting to feel like a runner. And you should really feel like that when you go on your first run. You should make that your new identity. This is who you are now, and this is who I want myself to be, a runner. So one thing I haven't really talked about is what I do for the warm-up. In terms of the program, they don't really give you any pointers. They just tell you to warm up, but they don't really give you anything to do. In terms of the warm-up, they just tell you to walk for 5 minutes and then go straight into your run. But I like to actually warm up prior for around 2 to 5 minutes beforehand and just do a couple of dynamic stretches, just to warm up my body and get it ready for physical activity, being running in this case. And the whole purpose behind this is your body performs better when it's warmed up and primed and ready for exercise. It will reduce the risk of injury, it will better your performance, and it will just smooth everything out and make it as seamless as possible. So in terms of what I do for the warm-up, I do a couple of things. I start off with a light jog and I go back and forth, maybe like 10 to 20 meters, kind of like shuttle runs, just going back and forth a few times, jogging very slowly. And the intention behind this is just to raise my heart rate a little bit, because when you prior to when you start exercising, your body's going to be quite cold, so you need to give a bit of time for it to warm up and become ready and primed for the activity you're about to do. And this is why I always take anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of time just to warm up the body and get it ready for what it's about to get into, being running. So I do those slow jog, kind of like shuttle runs, you say, just going back and forth a few times, becoming and trying to just elevate that heart rate a little bit and get your heart beating a little bit. What I also do is a couple of dynamic stretches, for example, leg swings. On the road beside my house, there's a little tree. I just lean against that and then swing my legs. And what this does, it will open the hips, as they're a pivotal part, or they're a pivotal muscle that help you whilst you run. So it's very important that you just open those up. You just want to feel nimble, free, and just not tight. You want to feel loose. You want to feel ready to move, because that's what you'll be doing. You'll be moving. You'll be running. So I do a little shuttle run. I do a bit of leg swings. I do a bit of walking lunges, and I may go back and forth, same as like what I do for my little shuttle jogs, if you say. I go back and forth, maybe do it 1, 2, 3 times. And I just do them consecutively. So I lunge, and then every step, and then lunge, and then lunge, and then lunge. And I do that a few times and then turn around and do the same thing again, making sure I'm just working both legs together and making sure that I'm warming up my legs essentially. So I do a little jog, I do leg swings, I do walking lunges, and I also do some calf raises as well. What I do in this case is I step on the curb of, of the road that I'm on, and then I literally just raise my calves up, hold it for maybe 2 to 3 seconds, come back down, and then do about 10 to 12 repetitions. Calves are a big part of how you move. They're a big muscle and super important for when you're running, so it's good to warm those up as well. I'm just trying to think of what else I do. So I've already mentioned that I do shuttle jogs. I also already mentioned that I do a bit of leg swings, a bit of lunges, a bit of calf stretches, and I also just swing my arms and rotate them just to warm up the shoulders and keep them loose as well. And just like swing them around just to free up the body and just get it moving. You want to feel light and nimble because you'll feel better when you're running. When you're not tight but you're loose, you feel free. That's the kind of intention behind warm up. And then as well, one other thing I like to do is open the gate, and this also opens up those hip flexors. So you can stand there, you can walk forwards, and then one at a time open the gate or close the gate. I normally open the gate first. It's a common exercise a lot of athletes will use before the warm up. You typically will see it from the footballers as an example, and so I'd walk straight ahead and then maybe do like a little jog and then go into opening the gate, and then on the way back go to close the gate. These will work your hip flexors. So if you're unfamiliar with that, that's what they are for. I keep this very brief, 2 to 5 minutes, no more than that. There's no need to overcomplicate it. I do this before I start the run, and then in the warm-up that they mentioned, I just use that as my time to walk and just prepare myself for what's to come in the run. In the 5 minutes they state you should warm up, I just use that to walk, and then I ease into my run. So in terms of what my feelings were like for this run, I already mentioned that I didn't really feel a sense of motivation. I kind of felt more like it was a mission that I needed to complete. What I meant to say was I didn't really feel that sense of motivation. I just had like a mission for the day, which was to run, and I just wanted to have that checked off. That's what it felt like. I didn't feel super excited to wake up and go for that run, but as soon as I sort of put my running shoes on, put my gear on, I really just sort of got into a flow state and just got on with it, because I'm starting to sort of build up the habit of running, which I mentioned earlier. It's just something I do now. I've like sort of started to forge that identity of being a runner. It's part of who I am now. And it definitely makes it easier, because when I started on the first week, I used a lot more willpower to get myself up and get out there and start running. But as soon as you start doing it a few times, it does become easier because you're starting to get used to it now. Therefore, it requires less energy to do so, because you already know what you need to do. You may already have like a routine in place and you just get on with it. So forming that little routine can really help you to staying consistent and just sticking to the program. That's all you want to do, and you'll make progress so much quicker, and you're more likely to be consistent as well. So in terms of where I'm at in the program right now, 5 runs in, I haven't felt like I've been tested or challenged in terms of the runs, and I wouldn't expect that 5 runs in, but I thought I would have found it more challenging so far, but maybe that's probably because of my prior experience of running on and off for the past few years. So I'm expecting maybe a few weeks into the program that intensity and volume of running to ramp up and start to become more challenging and tough. But as of so far, I haven't pushed 110% because I just haven't needed to. I may have mentioned in earlier runs that I felt slightly fatigued and maybe coasted on the last few minutes, but I was never really out of breath or like using every ounce of energy to get myself over the line. I'm just looking forward to whichever run it may be. Maybe it's in a few weeks' time. That really pushes me and forces me to sort of stick it out and see how far I'm sort of willing to push and what my limits are essentially. That's something I'm really looking forward to, and just test how strong my sort of mental strength is and how much I can demonstrate my resilience when there's a tough run upcoming and it's something I've never faced before. I'll be really looking forward to when that happens and that day comes. So as I was saying, yeah, as I haven't been challenged so far, the runs have been fairly straightforward, and maybe in the first 1, 2, and 3 weeks, it's probably going to be like that. If you're someone who's like mildly active, you shouldn't really find it tough. If you're someone who's never ran before, you may find it more challenging, and that's fairly normal. It just means you need a bit more experience under your belt, and then you'll be flying through it without no problem. And I'm just getting used to running frequently again. As I've been on and off and not had that consistency, it's been a bit challenging to stick to running. But now coming back to this program, things are starting to feel more clearer. I'm starting to build up that consistency again, and because I'm starting to become consistent, things are getting easier. And I'm hoping that I can start to run for longer than just 90 seconds that I'm prescribed at the minute. And one thing to note as well is to make sure your runs are enjoyable. One thing I like to do is I like to listen to music on my runs. You probably will see like the little clips I post here and there. I've always got my headphones on. Part of it is because the instructor who will tell you direct instructions on when to run and walk, but also have music on in the background helps keep me ticking and just help me sort of go through my runs and go through the flow, essentially. But if you're not enjoying your runs at the moment, what I would say is try and change something, whether it's the route, maybe it's buying a pair of running shoes, maybe it's running with a friend. Just try and change one of the variables, because running should be enjoyable. So try and make it enjoyable, because I have personally enjoyed it so far. So do everything you can to make it a fun experience, because that's what it is essentially. You'll always feel better after doing exercise. I don't think I've ever done a workout, let's say in the gym, done a tough workout and regretted it afterwards. I don't think that's ever happened. You probably won't ever regret running, but you may regret not running. So make of that what you will. And just to wrap things up, after I got home and showered on this particular run, being run number 5, I did a bit of static stretching. So this is slightly different to dynamic stretching I mentioned earlier. Static stretching is literally in the name. Static means being still, and you stretch and you try not to move at all, and the intention behind this is just to relieve stress from whatever muscle groups you're just trying to stretch and decompress, relieve some of that stress and tension from the run you've just been on. So I like to stretch my calves, stretch my quads, a bit of lower back, and a bit of just full body really. In terms of, let's mention one, for example, one of them I do is I like to stretch my quads, and what I do is I stand up and then I lean against something like a wall. Drive your foot or the heel of your foot into the back of your glute, and then push as hard as you can, and you should start to feel a bit of tension on your quads, and that's how you'll know it's being stretched, because you'll feel a bit of tension and then maybe hold that for around maybe 15 to 30 seconds and then let go, and then you will start to feel a bit of relief in that particular area. Your quads will probably feel the most sore, as they're probably the most dominant muscle group you use when you run. Not to mention the other muscles as well, but the quads are probably your biggest muscle involved in running. Although running is a full body activity, so you'll probably feel sore all over. So ensure that you're incorporating just a couple of stretches after your run. Take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. I do it straight after I shower. I just get my mat out and just do it for 5 to 10 minutes. It's super important you do it. It will help your recovery, and it will reduce the risk of injury, and you'll stop feeling so sore right after your run, and you'll be ready to go again in maybe in 1-2 days time, depending on how fast you recover from that. And just to wrap things up, I will throw a quick screenshot on Strava, from Strava somewhere here, detailing out the run and like the distance and the time taken and stuff, and that'll be that. I'll see you in the next run.